Hi guys!
Hello.
Welcome to Ed Arlene's Spirit Cast. If you're new to this podcast, we talk about all things related to mindfulness, magic, astrology, tarot, Reiki, meditation, anything in that realm. Previously on Ed Arlene's Spirit Cast, we spoke with Thomas Mooneagle about his book, Drumming Down the Runes. We talked about runes, what they are, how to use them, magic, and what shamanic journeying is, and how awesome it is and how you can do all this fun stuff with it. And so in today's episode, we are continuing our conversation with Thomas Mooneagle. We start off actually talking about shamanic journeying and what he's doing with that in regards to his new book that he's working on. So if you're not familiar with what shamanic journeying is, we highly recommend listening to the previous episode. If not, you can just start here because, it's all new, fun information, and we had an awesome time with Thomas as usual. So thankful to have him on the podcast. We will have his book, Drumming Down the Runes, linked below, and also a link where you can, get in touch with him, maybe do some of his courses, services, section. He has a bunch of meditations and stuff like that. So
he's amazing. Go check out his website and get ready for this amazing part 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, speaking of journeying, we just finished a past life regression, and I am shocked.
Yeah, your experience was something. I'm after this past life regression, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I've decided I'm not. I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of like, I don't want to do past life regression, and then ever since that first past life regression we did, I was like, I don't need to know, I don't think we're supposed to know, and then we're pulling some oracle cards, actually our oracle card deck, because we were using it. It's a great deck, and there was a card that I received, and it was a reference to kind of like a past life type deal, and so Arlene's bright idea was maybe you need to explore some of your past life energy for healing.
What is it? Natural chaotic. My natural chaotic.
Yes. Yeah. And so and I at this point, I am 50-50 on that stuff, but there's been a lot of magical occurrences happening in my life, which is not going to be talked about right now on the podcast.
Some stuff has to be personal.
Yeah.
We're open books. I pride myself on being that open book, but some stuff on your journey you can keep to yourself.
Yes.
And this experience we just experienced. For me, I'm good. You?
Yeah, mine was, we're probably not even going to go into detail about what happened with mine. It was an experience. I had a lot of this year I feel like I've had a lot, or not this year, just in general, the past couple of years, a lot of these experiences.
Profound experiences.
Yeah, that also make me face my mortality and the nature of death and stuff like that. And all I'm going to say, this past life regression. So the guide I was with, we're not going to say who I was working with, but this guy is going, we can show you this is important, because they tell you usually when you do past life regression, it's something that you need to know, and it's a part of healing. So if you've never done past life regression or that type of therapy, people use it because we carry this trauma from previous lives, and it can influence us in this. So there's a lot of stuff we can bring in from other lives. There's also ancestral things you hear about. So sometimes when you do these types of meditations, you're trying to understand what that is so that it can be healed, and you can kind of heal that in this life and work through it. That way you're not reliving it again in your next life, or you come in next life more aware. So anyways, we get there, and my guide's like, I'm going to show you this. Are you sure you want to do it? And of course, I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Let's go there. And I basically went on this. It felt like it was a, long movie. I don't know, it wasn't that long of a meditation, but it felt like it went on for a really long time. And I basically watched myself get taken out. Yeah. And then it had nice stuff happen too, but not doing that again. I think I learned why I had to see that, because there's circumstances around it. It was also taking place in a very ancient time. I'm not quite sure where I was at, but I kind of have some
understanding ideas.
Yeah. And one thing that's really fun to do, if you guys ever do decide to do past life regression, first off, now that we're on it, let's talk about good author, Brian Weiss would be a great person to start with. We can have his book linked down below too.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn more about that. But anyways, if you do past life regression, it is a lot of fun when you Google what you see, and because oftentimes you will find real life correlations with it, which is also really trippy as well. So for example, if you do past life regression and you see yourself wearing something, and you're like, well, when would this be? What would this be? I don't even know what this... maybe you might not have even seen it before. Like, it might be an article of clothing you're not, like, familiar with. If you Google the description of what you wore, typically you'll find something that is where, you know, gives you the time period. And then you'll find that it, like, fits with the regression, which makes it even creepier to me. I did that both times. Mm-hmm. And there was, like, these... coincidences, and
it all ties up on your journey.
It
all ties in the journey. For me, like, my experience was not nearly as I don't know, traumatic as yours this time around. Mm-hmm. But I feel like my spirit knows, hey, I don't think she's down.
Well, he asked if I would be open to it.
But who knows? I say I don't want to do any more past life right now, but I guarantee you probably in a couple months I'll be like, yeah, let's do it. I'll forget why. I do feel a lot, like, lighter, and I'm sure like there's going to be things coming to me
in dream space
or throughout the day. Like, I'll pay attention to the signs and synchronicities and have other things unlock, because sometimes that stuff can just unlock you know, parts of your soul.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having more
soul memory,
feeling more clarity right now too.
Oh, I feel super alive.
Sometimes, guys, like, you'll have, like, synchronicities that build up to these types of things. It's not uncommon to do these types of meditations or healing work that will have effects, like you were saying, crazy dreams, or little, like, synchronicities that pop up that can confirm. We actually pulled out our oracle deck that will be linked down below too, so if you want to try this and then use our oracle deck to help you out, it would probably help a lot. We have, like, a yes/no thing, and we decided to either we were gonna do the pendulum or the oracle cards, and I said, let's do our yes/no cards, and it confirmed what we were thinking as well. So that's fun too. You can always do your decks if you are into divination, some sort of divinate, whatever your forte is, and kind of confirm all of that. Now, keep in mind, you never want to be, like, terrified. Like, when I say that it was traumatic, it wasn't traumatic. It was just like a whoa type of experience that I felt to the core. So yeah, it's traumatic in that sense, but not, like, you're not gonna have, hopefully you don't have an experience that, like, it's not supposed to fuck your shit up, is what I'm trying to explain. Like, it's supposed to have
it depends on where you're at. It can be triggering.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be a healing component to it, and you can always pull yourself out.
Yes.
You don't have to stay in those meditations and stuff if
it's too much.
Yeah, if it's too much.
I think for me, like, the couple times we've done it, it's like this experience today was trippy. Like, knowing, like, recognizing the people around me, but not remembering, like, who they were. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know that's you present, but it's not you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's weird. Like, the other times that we've done it, like, I've seen myself, like, me. Like, I knew that was me. Mm-hmm. So that's a little weird.
You were looking at it from the perspective of the viewer, or you were immersed in it and you were, like...
This time I was the perspective of the viewer. I was first person looking at the surroundings around me. Mm-hmm. And, like, the person I was with and then the people I was with, like, they knew me. But I feel like I was just, like, I was just there. Mm. But I also said, I didn't go into it open to necessarily remember anything crazy. Mm-hmm. 'Cause whatever.
Yeah, intentions are everything too. So if you are open to the experience and you have, like, an intention set, that helps as well. I mean, I was open to it because you suggested it, and of course I'm going to be down. Those are, like, my
natural
weaknesses.
Chaotic. That's how I operate. I'm naturally chaotic, and it's a beautiful mess.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. But yeah,
that's funny. Which takes me actually to our interview. In our interview, we actually talk about with Thomas the healing process and how sometimes you can do these like meditations or energy work or things like that, and it can actually cause a like tower moment, but those moments are designed to happen so that you face that and you heal it. Mm-hmm. But it's okay if you start a practice, like you start something, you're like, I'm going to do this session of X, Y, and Z, and you pull out. There's nothing wrong with not, because you're not ready yet. Like you're in full control of your journey and everything. There's like, we mentioned it with Thomas, and I'll touch on it without the context of the episode, but like, we talk about how her and I were going through some training, after we got in our Reiki. We did a couple other types of things, and we thought we wanted to do this one energy modality, mm-hmm. and it ended up being too much for us at the time.
That was way too much. Way too much.
So it would have been a course that went on for a couple years, mm-hmm. and it really takes you to the depths of wherever it is, and it ended up just not being. It ended up being too much and then not resonating, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with not being... And if you've ever experienced something like that, you're not alone.
Sometimes you're not ready for things when it's presented to you.
Yeah.
And then eventually it might be later.
Yeah. Depending
on where you're at in your life. And that course in particular is probably something I'm going to do in a couple years.
Yeah, like I could do that. I don't feel ready now, but in a couple years I would. And that's what I'm saying. Like we've been Reiki Masters for a while now. So we tried to do this one way back then. So of course we weren't. We just went through that intense Reiki training, and then like
all that healing crisis, and then tried to go into more, like something a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been an endless tower moment for years.
I remember when we first started it, and I was getting that like work done, and I just, oh gosh,
the healing crisis can be too much.
Yeah,
too much,
and it's okay if you need to take a break and come revisit that type of stuff. Anything. If you're in meditation, if you're in doing oracle, whatever mm-hmm. you're doing. But we've been bullshitting for a while about past life regression.
So let's remember to follow us.
Yeah.
So you can go follow us on Twitter at edpro_pgh. You can follow us on Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook at edarlene. And you can follow us on YouTube, where we post Reiki-infused videos almost every single day. And, that's at edarlene. Go follow, like, and subscribe. We have a bunch of playlists and healings on there. And you can go to our website, edarlene.com, and sign up to get a free Reiki session every single month if you go to our email list.
Yeah.
And then we also have a bunch of different subscription services on there for our Reiki services if you want to book a session with us. And we have our awesome shop that has our oracle cards, books, and other printed goods. And candles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yep. All linked down below.
I feel like there was something else I really wanted to say, but I don't remember, so I guess we're not supposed to...
That's just how we're rolling.
I'm not gonna lie, that meditation has me feeling like a space cadet right now.
I feel I feel a little spacey, but I feel lighter, and I feel like I'm gonna have some clarity come through.
I'm gonna have crazy dreams, that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the episode. Okay, guys, this is an ad. We believe in supporting small business, and today we're talking about the small business called Garage Cats.
They make 100% organic, handmade lip balm using hemp and cocoa butter. It smells amazing. It lasts for a very long time. They use eco-friendly paper tubes. They're pretty much awesome. If you are interested in supporting this business, you can find the link below or go to garagecats.etsy.com. We just want to take a quick moment to invite everyone listening to check out our shop at edarlene.com. If you like what we do, it is one of the easiest ways to support us. Plus, you will get our awesome handcrafted 100% vegan soy candles, our prints, books, oracle cards, and book a Reiki session. All of this can be found at edarlene.com and linked in the show notes.
You are working on another book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am working on another book. I have no idea how long it's going to take. The next book is called Singing Up the Sun, and it's really about waking up your inner light when you're in darkness.
Oh.
And it has been kicking my butt for the last 2 years because what it is what I've, part of what the book is me journeying through each of the chakras, but going at each of the chakras like a medicine wheel. So going south, west, north, east, below, above, within. So 7 journeys for each of the 7 chakras. I'm currently in the third eye chakra. Got one more journey on that one, and then I start the 7th. And I'm like, oh God, what's that one got in store for me? Because I thought, because the first chakra took me like 10, 11 months to get through. And it was really hard, and I had a lot of stuff coming up with it. And I thought, maybe and I was told it'll go faster as you go up, and it did. The next one only took like 6 months or so, 6 or 7 months. And then, just 2 months, and the next one, and so on and so forth. And what ended up happening, though, is like, stuff kept coming up, and each one of them was just super challenging. And I thought, well, maybe it'll get easier as I go up. Nope. Every single one of them is a kick in the balls. I mean, just like, and I have people, and I tell about like this thing, and they're like, oh, that sounds like great. You should teach a workshop on this. I'm like, oh, no.
Instantly, I was like, this sounds really cool.
Not. I mean, just even doing one. I'm like, in like a weekend, 7. It's like, oh, hell no. I mean, get the white coats and the straight jackets right now. That's what's going to happen if you try to rush this process.
Oh, that's funny.
People will not like you after that. They will look and say, when did your life go wrong? And they'll all turn and look at me.
What event can you link your Strava to?
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm not saying that to say like, oh, this is terrible, never do this. Because, I've had other stuff that's come out of these journeys that has been transformative. I mean, I started working back artistically after, when I got into the 3rd chakra. I started writing again in the 4th and the 5th chakra. And, I mean, creatively writing, not just like nonfiction writing. Like, I could actually be working on another book right now of short stories. So other things came out of this, so I keep getting distracted by, doing that work. And also I have to take breaks from it because it is really an intense process. And eventually, besides that, I'm not going to it's going to be different from the rune book in the sense that I'm not going to detail everything that happens on these journeys because it's really very personal and not really interesting to anybody else but me. I will lay out the method and kind of my observations of like, what did this bring up? What could this bring up for you? How are some ways that, what are some ceremonies perhaps or practices that you can do to help with this as they do? Then I have like another portion of the book, which I haven't started yet because I wanted to get through the chakras first, is going to be talking with like my upper world teacher and a master teacher about, the nature of the soul, the nature of spirit, the nature of power songs and soul songs and things like that and other things to bring in. The structure is not as defined as the first book, and for that I'm still struggling with it, but I'm like, I gotta get at least these chakra journeys out of the way before I start thinking about anything else.
Yeah, and this is not including all your work you do, all your healing.
Yeah. Sort of. It's like those aren't the only journeys I gotta do. And again, just like the runes, though, if I'm on a journey that day, that will probably be either the last one I take of the day or the only one I do that day because it is intense and it is visceral. And there are like physical responses from it. Like people are surprised and I'm like, yeah, I did this journey and I'm all tense and, stuff's unraveling now. I got to do some body work. I got to do some exercise. I got to do, 3 hours of crying. Just an example, to move that because, it has an actual physiological effect on me because it's real. It didn't happen in this realm, but it's real. So I think that's really important. What you do in other worlds does have an effect in this world. And I think, that alone, and not to caution people, just to expect that. It's sort of like, you go on a trip and you do something in another state. It's still applicable when you come home, right? I mean, It's not like whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, it's not like that at all. I don't even think that's actually true, but...
Not in this day and age.
No. I mean, privacy is kind of, a bygone era at this point. But yeah, I think it's important to know, like, I visualized this and I saw this. Oh, well, those are some happy images. No, they may have an impact on you physically later. And just be mindful of that. I'm not saying be scared of it. I'm just like, make your choices. Make them by being informed so that you're not surprised later.
No, that definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that experience. I've had like where I thought I wanted to do like certain healing things and it ended up being too much. So I had to pause it, just not ready. And then various other things like like things coming later, like with the Akashic records, just not necessarily physical, but more like dreams, stuff like that happening later after I did. Like they weren't done yet. Like we have more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it kicks stuff up into your awareness, either physical, emotional, or mental. And I'll tell you right now, like with the third, I was just like, geez, have I always been this anxious and crazy? Probably. It's just been pushed down.
You suppress it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, it's sort of like, shining a light through that lens of the, that frame of the film, and it's like, that's kind of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised like how much stuff we can like push kind of like away, but it's still there, and can kind of eat away at us without us acknowledging it, for sure. And then that's what makes those healings harder. You're like, I thought I was.
Oh,
yeah, I thought I did this. That's how I felt last time we talked to you, like with all the stuff that happened in the world, and it was like triggering, blah blah blah. But I felt like I was already more further on my journey, but then I felt like I was fully like reverted back, and then all this stuff just came up, and I couldn't handle it.
No, I think
it's the global. Everybody felt that, but still. Never over.
Yeah, I think we should give each other like a pass on because I spent a good portion of last year feeling like a total failure in my spiritual life because I wasn't calm and centered and peaceful. No, I was crabby and irritable and anxious. And I was like, well, and then again, this is something that nobody in a century has experienced, so maybe I should cut myself some slack,
Yeah.
I found it challenging to stay grounded and be that anchor for people when I couldn't be that for myself.
Yeah.
And I felt like there's, especially when it all started, I felt like there was people emailing us and commenting and messaging us at like, how can I be calm? Like, what do I do with my anxiety and stuff? I'm like, well, the person who's supposed to be trying to help you is losing her stuff too. So I'm sorry, I'm not in a place to help you right now.
I've been in meditation.
Well, thank goodness. I mean, I applaud you for like being upfront about that, because there's been a lot of people in our field who've been like, living in la denial land of everything is beautiful. We're venturing into the golden era of blah blah this. I'm like, are we though? I'm not so sure. Or if we are, we still have a lot of work to do to get there. And this idea that when we're enlightened or when we're evolved, we will feel no pain, have no suffering, just be able to be unaffected by the world. Well, you who are unaffected by the world and other people suffering? Sociopaths. I mean, that's not...
Yeah, like you're missing how like we're all in it together,
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that with people who get too far into, and now I'm trying to come out of that, because I've been like, F all this, F all that. This is bullshit. This is bullshit spirituality over here. This is like just feel good fluff over here. And I'm like, okay, I've been in that for months, and I have to come out of we're all doomed together and come into like, okay, yes, we can do stuff to make changes again.
That's what I mean. The healers, we're supposed to be the healers and helping, and if we all feel like we're all going to die.
Well, and I mean, we are going to die, but it's just sort of like, okay, what are we going to do till then? Kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we're humans, we're having this human experience, and I think sometimes we lose track. Everybody wants to be out of body and whatever, but we're here for a reason. And sometimes we're going to feel a spectrum of emotions, and that's like okay. It's okay to be like upset or afraid or whatever. I mean, obviously it's not okay to stay that way, like, but
allow yourself to feel
like,
that
and
way.
then because then, like, what do you do? Like, if you just cover it up and ignore it, you know, I believe in, like, obviously, like, we manifesting stuff like that and focusing on the good, but it's okay if you don't feel like it some days, or, you know, I don't know.
And I think also, as we look, you know, let's focus on the good, but that's what we've done with our history in this country. Mm-hmm. Let's just focus on the good things, right?
Yeah.
Which meant that we never fixed the things that needed fixing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, you know, by not acknowledging the deep, you know, lack or loss or grief or whatever it is, it doesn't mean it just goes away. You know, injustice, no, that was something that happened a long time ago. We don't have to do anything about it. Everything's great, right? Everything's great. No, yeah, great. Everybody, yeah. No. But we all know that most of us know that that's not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything's not okay. And it's about learning how to still move with joy and purpose and love and kindness in that, and change what we can change, and then help each other through even with what we can't change at the moment. But, you know, it doesn't mean like, oh, well, we can't change it, you know, or that's the way it's always been. You know, this is the refrain I've heard from people. Well, it's always been this way. Well, good for you. I'm saying that's not working anymore. Yeah. It's not going to be that way anymore. It's always been this way. Well, look, you know, I'm like, just like, that sounds so boring to me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always been this way. I'm like, well, maybe it shouldn't be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, back to, like, you know, you were talking about how we're all kind of connected and in it together. And I hopefully, like, as we all go on a spiritual path, we, like, are coming from a place of love, and that would not just be love for ourselves, but love for other people, and not wanting them to suffer, and, like, doing what you can at your capacity to help the world instead of just ignoring everything. Because somebody might need it. One day you might need somebody to, like, be beside you or help you out, and you would want that.
Yeah.
You know.
Treat people how you want to be treated.
That's not a hypothetical. It's going to happen. You're going to need somebody someday.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. I don't care how powerful or capable or special you think you are. At some point, you're going to need somebody. And it's going to be big. And it's like you cannot get by without that help. So, you know, act accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
get that good karma.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's not even really, you know, the way karma works is it's really simpler than most people think. It doesn't have to be mystical. If you act like an asshole all the time, I can swear on this, right? I mean,
we don't care. It's our podcast.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, awesome. Great. You are in for a treat. No. So if you're just an asshole perennially, you know, all the time, or, you know, maybe you get by with it for a while, but eventually you're going to meet a bigger asshole, and that shit won't fly.
Yeah.
And they will give it back in spades, you know, or with interest, or however you want to put that. But it's going to come back. And it's not because, you know, this energy, it's not necessarily because of energy. It's because of, hey, you're eventually going to encounter someone who will not take that treatment and will hand it right back to you. Now, when you're talking about energy work, it does work on that level. You know, it's going to be like, whoa. But you're also going to have that energy signal in your field. And so all the little critters of the multiverse will see that signature, and they will crouch around you. And it'll be like a little beacon for them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you never think about that.
Nope.
It'd just be a beacon for some bad
A beacon for all the little nasties out in the multiverse. All going, hey, there's one of mine. I should drop in on that.
Oh, and then it just kind of keeps you in a weird space.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If it keeps on giving.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I mean. You know, like the law of three, like maybe that's kind of like the idea in a way.
The idea of it, yeah.
Now, I'm not going to single out people who are doing nasty stuff, because when you do stuff that, you know, you're shining, when you do energy work, you are lighting a beacon in the spirit world. that is seen. Both great light and great dark. It will be seen. Which is why you want to be mindful of where you're doing the work and setting the space and setting your boundaries. I think I talk about this in the book too.
Yeah, you do.
Like sacred space is this is why it's very important, because you are basically setting up the law of your space and what is allowed in and what is not allowed in, so you can light the bonfire. I think I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, I used to read it like every year, and so they don't do this in the movie. So if you've just seen the movies, you probably missed this. When they're on the mountain pass and they're trying to like light a fire and they can't because of the snow, the unnatural snowstorm, they ask Gandalf, it's like, can't you light a fire? He's like, well, yeah, I could, but if you want everybody in like 100 miles to know Gandalf's right here,
Yeah.
might as well just sign my name on it, right? And it's kind of the same thing, you're signing your energetic signature to the work that you do. Now, if you do good work, you get noticed by, other spirits. They're like, hey, look at that little human over there. Pretty cool. Oh, I gotta stick around and see what else they do.
Yeah.
This along here, I want to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
So you can, by doing good, you can call in the good assistance. Yeah.
You get noticed. You get noticed for what you do. And so when you do good work, and you're in particular, I've people say, "Oh, wow, he's so powerful. He's so this." I'm like, power is an inaccurate way of, I think, describing the effects that people have. Because I really, really believe that anybody can be powerful. The difference, particularly magically, the only difference between someone who exhibits or seems to wield that and doesn't is probably dedication. So if you're passionate and dedicated, you can become powerful. I will say also that the more powerful you become, the more service you will be doing. So, if you think this is going to be easy, no, you're required to do more things. You're required to work. And I'm not trying to scare people off from like improving themselves. Far be it from me to say that. But it's like the more I learn, the more service I do. Mm-hmm. And if you're okay with that, do it. It needs more service out there. There's a lot of stuff that needs help. A lot of people that need help. There's the two categorically opposed kind of practitioners, are the shaman and the sorcerer. And the main difference between them is that the shaman is doing service for people. The sorcerer is out for themselves and doing and seeming powerful, right? Mm-hmm. Like, look at me, I'm powerful. Look what I can do. Better not fuck with me. And the shaman's just like shaking their head, going, "Oh God, what a fucking child." That's what they're thinking.
That's how I felt looking at those TikToks.
Oh,
the curse ones and stuff.
Well, you guys see that.
Yeah, I see, and I see little bitty baby light workers, and I'm like, say things, and I'm like, really? That's adorable, really, kind of, but see, the thing is, I could get away with that when I was their age because we weren't as connected. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't going to be out there forever,
Yeah.
And so it's, again, these are stages I think that a lot of people move through, but everything is a bit more nuanced. It's all not black and white. It's, I think the dividing line really is, are you being kind? Are you being helpful? Are you having consideration for other people? And, that doesn't mean that you can never think of yourself or do things for yourself. But, you should always have in the back of your head, well, how is this going to affect, people around me? How is this going to affect others? And, you have to make that, where you weigh that is going to depend on, like, where you are in life and, what your needs are and all of that, we have to consider other people in our working.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And, because that also shows, where you're operating from, too. There's a lot of stuff where you can tell there's, this idea of, fear. It's coming from fear is what I'm trying to say. That spirituality where you're only concerned about yourself. A lot of, I don't know. I'm trying to like describe something that's very broad that I see across the internet. Some of the like I don't want to say light warrior, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Very like us versus them type of stuff, and then you can it just seems like it's coming from like a very like fearful thing and less like doing good for the collective.
Right.
Together, and it's not anything extreme you have to do. It's just being good to people. That's all you have to do to be good to the collective. Be good to yourself and others. And like, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that they want to get wealthy off of doing energy work because it's easy for them, and I'm like, if you think it's easy, you're obviously not doing the work.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
that's an indicator.
Yes. Oh my goodness,
indicator.
That doesn't mean that you don't have times of effortlessness in the work and flow. No, that happens. That's great. It's wonderful when that happens. God, please send me more of that. But there's times where it is very difficult, or the work on other people might be effortless, but the work that you have to do on yourself to get to that is not.
It is daunting.
Yeah,
it is.
It is daunting.
Like,
horrifically daunting.
When you figure out like something about yourself that you just completely didn't realize, and then it clicks. And you're like, oh well, this is why this has been going on in my life, or this is why. Just like little things, like mindset, like words you use all the time, in deeper. You know? But then you find those things out gradually. It's not in one like sitting, I feel like, or for me it isn't.
Yeah, it's not like 1 year and you're good. It's an investment.
Yeah.
It is. It's really. I encounter people who are just they want to do what I do. They're like, how did you get good? I was like, pain. And they're like, pain. I'm like, lots and lots of personal pain and suffering. And because, what does it take to be powerful? Dedication. Why would you dedicate time and energy to something unless you really needed it?
Yeah.
There are so many easier ways to make money. I have days all the time where like, oh man, I should have done this.
You do that.
Yeah, well, I said in another podcast before, I'm like, before we got into all the healing work and, the universal laws and everything else that you go down the rabbit hole with, like, life just seemed a little bit different, and we can glamorize some of those moments as if it was better even though it wasn't. I don't know what I'm trying to say with that.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I wish that I could just, like, not now, I love my life, I'm really grateful for everything that we do and everything that we've been able to do, but there's been moments in my lifetime where I've been like, well, maybe I should have just went to college and met some lawyer or something and just got married and been a housewife and whatever.
That's your past life stuff, though.
I know, I'm just drawing on that self-hood.
Yeah. I bring up her self-hood all the time. She was a pampered
princess.
Yeah. She's got Cancer into Capricorn.
So I'm learning my independence.
Yeah.
And my power.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being taken care of.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like, this is a different path. It's like the world is not designed for this path. Our culture is not designed for this path. And in some ways I'm like, they're like, oh, you must be good at something. I'm like, I am. It's just not valued by the culture. I'm like, I'm really good at this. But it's strange. But I'll tell you something. I remember meeting someone in high school, giving a reading to them, and it was like it shook their world, changed their life. And then I remember, we went to college together, and then she brought me over to her parents' house, and like they put me like at the head of the table because they were from a different culture, and like I've never had that kind of respect before. It was very weird.
Because different cultures treat certain things differently.
They do. Yeah,
and
so
the knowledge that you have would be extremely
just half of it. Yeah,
just
like
valuable.
Half of it. You're like so knowledgeable, like like so.
Oh, and it's funny because I thought I was so knowledgeable back then, and I look back and I'm like, you knew nothing.
Yeah, this conversation, I feel like I've learned a lot. Every time we talk to you, I like learn something, or I don't know, feel inspired to like do something different. So
I know I keep saying, like I want to travel after the pandemic, and my spirit guides keep pushing back that date when I'm allowed to travel. And I'm like, yeah, I should do like some workshops. I should come to Pittsburgh and do some workshops.
Oh,
We'd love to.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Or Dan will go
Yeah.
with us, the three of us.
The three of us.
Yeah.
will be there.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, get his book. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah. So.
This episode, we're just talking about this for a reason. So get it.
What's interesting though is I actually got to use runes in a client healing session recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, it was my first like session back using my office after like a year.
Oh wow.
And I was so excited. I got to do like some of mine are more subtle and like, you know, I'm doing energy with this, I'm doing that, I'm doing shamanic work, but this is like, oh man, I felt like a wizard. I was like, move aside, Gandalf.
That's what I feel do my Kalen magic now with the runes. I'm definitely integrating this into my rituals.
Yeah.
I'll pull them out so you can look at them when we get off.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I bet, like, I always talk to her about this, like, my younger self, like, as a child, like, middle school, whatever. If I saw me now, like, how would I be? And you be loving Lord of the Rings. You know, you as a child would probably think you're, like, awesome right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, yeah, I'm doing what I do. I mean, it's that's the funny thing is, like, I have always cared about what money can get for me, like security, food, or travel, or tools, experiences, and you know, the basics mostly. But like people are like money. I'm like, if I'm making enough to live on, to take care of myself, to pursue my passions, that's kind of like and that's why you know, it's hard for me to get excited about numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, you sent me a quote, and it was basically saying if you're able to live off of your art or your passion, you're winning. You know, it doesn't matter
if you're a millionaire.
Yeah, if you can support yourself doing what you love, then you're winning.
You are winning. You're living the dream.
Yes.
You're doing what other people can't do, or don't have the courage to do.
Yeah,
and that's very commendable. Is that word?
I don't
know, but it's very admirable. Like, and this society, we think that we're not doing enough if we're not millionaires or have a private jet or whatever the other opulence comes along with that.
Drilled into your brain.
But in reality, when you're able to support yourself from everything you're doing, then you are winning. Period. Yeah. That's it to myself. I'm winning.
Yeah, for me, it's sort of like I get to actually help people. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're helping people.
Yeah. I mean, help us.
You helped us. Okay. Our last interview with you, you gave me a healing. And
you did it in the interview.
I was full-blown meltdown. I talked for 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours of healing with Thomas Mooneagle. That was great. And Dan.
Did he pull his crystal?
Well, you know, I've never actually worked on Dan. No.
You should. You have to.
Yeah.
We told him to check out your website because there might be some services on there that he would be interested in.
Yeah.
Same thing with people listening. Like, go check out. Thomas does a lot. He's not just an author. He's an artist. He's a multifaceted healer and shaman, and list goes on.
Aren't you a priest with the Order of Melchizedek too?
Yes.
Did I say it?
Yeah. I just sort of like collect things here and there. But that came about because after I got my my Reiki masters and all, and I was like, it would be nice to have some sort of legal protections if you're going to be laying on hands, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently, if you're clergy, you have some sort of weird. I don't know what I was thinking. For me, it was like this weird legal thing, like that this is a spiritual practice, so that it's protected legally. And but it's very funny because I was actually visiting my grandmother when she was in the hospital, and I had gotten this email about there's going to be ordinations in the Order of Melchizedek in your area at such and such time, and I thought, oh, that's nice. Then I went and there was this guy there in the parking lot. He's like, hey, can you jumpstart my car? And I'm like, I have jumper cables, yeah. So I pulled in, and the space that I pulled in beside him was the clergy parking space. So I was like, oh, I guess I should go ahead and do that. And I did. I sometimes forget that I actually am a priest. Because I'm such a mess all the time in my head that I'm not that peaceful. I really need to work on that.
That's how I felt with the, like the Reiki, the principles. I have to remind myself.
It's a nice thing to trot out every now and again to win an argument. Well, as a priest, I am against that. No. Priest, I'm against police brutality.
Yeah,
you should start saying stuff like that. Yeah,
you should start doing that. I'm glad. Did I say it right? Melchizedek.
There's a couple different pronunciations of it. I'm not sure which one is the correct one, so we'll just go with whatever. I've heard Melchizedek. I think there's one other. I can't remember what that one's pronounced like, but I'm pretty sure that one's wrong. That third one that I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's sort of strange how things happen. Like, oh, I kind of, fell into this training, fell into that training, fell into this, But now I'm sort of like, I'm as I go along, I'm choosier, about what trainings I do, what workshops I take. Because you can go like, a mile wide and an inch deep, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to have a range. It certainly is. But at some point, it's sort of like you're just always seeking and never doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fine. I think you really need to do that wide seeking, like particularly when you're starting to find like where is, what's hidden for you. But the more you delve into a particular practice, the more skilled you're going to get at that one practice or that series of practices, and that level, your depth of your knowledge and understanding, specificity and nuance and all the ways that things interact, rather than if you just take everything's going to be very broad strokes and very surface information.
Yeah, 'cause there's so much information, especially because it's all like cool. You're like, oh, this is so cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're just, that's the whole thing. There's some things, I take, but some of the trainings I take, they're not cheap. So I'm like, for me, it's a resource thing. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, if I'm gonna go to this training, it better benefit my life, my personal life specifically, very deeply, or be something that I can integrate into my practice, or both, preferably both, or be in pursuit of something that I've had a lifelong interest in.
We're getting to an hour and a half almost. So is there anything that you would like to share with the listeners before we end the podcast?
Oh my goodness. I'm like, what do we talk about? I'm like, I feel like I've been preachy. Well, I am a priest, so I can do that. Well, I mean, the book, I think, was kind of a culmination. I'd always wanted to write a book. I'd always wanted to be an author. And I'm so glad that I did. I lost a lot of sleep over it, but that's okay. And it's something that I'm still like, when I have a down day, I'm like, oh, I wrote a book. Oh, thank goodness.
A good book.
Accomplishments.
Yeah.
Yeah, accomplishments. It's good to, I remember after writing it and, presenting it at a psychic fair and doing a talk on it, and someone came right up after and was like, so when's your next book out? I was like, back off. This one just came out like 3 months ago. I do not have a second one right now. I don't even have the idea yet.
Well, the second one sounds like it's going to be a doozy.
Yeah.
So I'm
excited.
Oh, yeah. If I live through it, it'll be something, right?
You will. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
I know it.
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to require therapy on my part to get through.
But maybe that's required.
Yeah,
a part of the journey.
It might be. I'm more like, how am I going to swing that? I'm like, maybe I can work some trade.
You probably could.
It's like, all right. Well, thank you for being on the show again. We really appreciate it.
So much.
Always amazing, for sure.
We will definitely have you back on.
Yeah, as long as you want to be on it.
Yeah, as long as you want to.
You're
we have a
always
place
welcome.
for you.
That's good. I'm trying to do like a podcast a month with, and switch it up. So I've been on a few lately. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
It has to be a cool experience.
Yeah, you're meeting a lot of nice people, probably.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
What do you want to talk about? We're open.
Like this, hey, I want to talk about this. All right, let's do it.
Hey, I've got an album. Did we ever talk about the album?
Did we? I think we talked about it in the first one.
We mentioned it.
That's what I mean. You have so many things. We could literally do an episode on every single thing
that
you
just
studied.
Yeah.
Just moments in your life. Just pockets of time. What happened in this pocket of time?
Yeah, tell your life story, Thomas. Yeah,
it's Story Hour. Yeah,
so talk about the album really quick.
Oh, the album, Chords of Light, and it's made with hemisync signal in it, so it has got brainwave entrainment that also syncs up your the right and left hemisphere, so it's pretty cool, and it's working with energy chords between yourself and different relations that you have between people, places, powers, concepts, all those sorts of things. So I'm very proud of that project as well. So
this is what I mean. You have so many things. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Is that the link for that on your website?
Yeah, it is. It is linked on my website under the About page.
Okay, so we'll link that down below in the book and everything.
Yeah. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. That was great. We'll be doing a bunch of your meditation. So I got her addicted to your... All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.